He is the son of the Chosen One and the Senator of Naboo. He's one of the greatest generals the Rebellion had ever seen, an expert star pilot, and a Jedi like his father before him. Today, we cover the complete travels of Luke Skywalker. Born in 19 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, in a facility in the asteroid field of Polis Massa, Luke Skywalker was one of the twins born to Padme Amidala. After the death of their mother in childbirth, Luke and his sister Leia are separated. While Leia is adopted by Bail Organa and taken to Alderaan, Luke would be taken to his familial home on Tatooine to be raised by his aunt and uncle, while Obi-Wan would watch over him. On multiple occasions in his youth, Luke would travel with Beru to Anchorhead, a small town outside the Dune Sea. There, his adventurous spirit would be nurtured with holograms of rivers, forests, and oceans on the HoloNet. Now, we'll cover this in a future video, but essentially this serves as the galaxy's internet and primary news source. And it's also very susceptible to the control of whatever the governing body may be. In 9 BBY, when Luke is 10 years old, he begins pitching in more around the moisture farm and homestead. One day, while working on Owen's speeder, Luke accidentally breaks it, warranting a not-so-fun trip to Anchorhead. While in town, Owen is tipped off about the arrival of an Inquisitor, Reva Scavender. Knowing that Luke is likely to be targeted due to Kenobi's unknown whereabouts, Owen and Beru prepare the homestead for battle. After being chased into the desert and being rendered unconscious, Luke is spared by Reva and is left to live out his childhood with his aunt and uncle. In his youth, Luke would forge friendships with other children local to the planet, notably Biggs Darklighter. The pair would become great friends, and they were known to take Luke's T-16 Skyhopper into Beggar's Canyon, which you may remember from Anakin's pod racing days, as well as Din Djarin's future test flight for his remastered N1 Starfighter. Luke would go on many adventures with his friends during his youth. During his time on Tatooine, he would find himself confronting creatures such as krayt dragons and womp rats. Throughout these years, Kenobi would keep a watchful eye on Anakin's son. In the year 0 BBY, Luke would observe a battle above the planet, an omen that the boy's desire to join the greater world was about to come true. Above him, Leia Organa desperately fought to hide stolen plans for the Empire's Death Star. Traveling to Tashi Station to tell his friends what he had seen, Luke is surprised by recent Imperial graduate Biggs, who sows seeds of doubt in Luke as he confesses his desire to defect from the Empire and join the rebellion. Later, when Jawas come to the homestead, Owen purchases C-3PO and R2-D2, assigning Luke to clean them before putting them to work. Luke discovers Leia's recorded plea to Kenobi, and after R2 takes off on his own, he and 3PO head into the Junlan Wastes to track him down. After an attack by Tusken Raiders, Luke meets Ben Kenobi, who explains his relationship to Luke's father, gives a certain point of view on Darth Vader, and gives him Anakin's lightsaber. A hesitant Luke agrees to take Kenobi as far as Anchorhead, and along the way they find the remains of the Jawas that had sold R2 and 3PO. Luke races home to find it reduced to ash by the Empire. With nothing left for him on Tatooine, Luke embraces his destiny, agreeing to accompany Obi-Wan and learn the ways of the Force. The four travel to Mos Eisley Spaceport, and having secured transportation to Alderaan in the Millennium Falcon, they make a quick escape and begin their journey. On board, Kenobi begins Luke's training. Ben senses a great disturbance in the Force, and as they arrive at Alderaan's location, they find no Alderaan. They are captured by the nearby Death Star, and while they manage to both rescue Princess Leia and escape, Luke witnesses the death of his mentor Kenobi. Unknown to the group, the Empire is tracking them as they make their way to the secret rebel base. Leia directs the group to Yavin 4, the fourth moon orbiting Yavin Prime in the Outer Rim. After passing the necessary tests, Luke is accepted into Red Group as Red 5, where he would fly alongside Wedge Antilles. In the subsequent attack on the Death Star, the Rebellion's hope would ultimately rest on Luke's shoulders as he makes his attack run. He flies alongside Wedge and his childhood friend Biggs. Vader personally flies into the battle in his TIE Advanced, and Biggs is killed, and Wedge is forced to retreat, leaving Luke alone. After Vader is taken by surprise and knocked out to space by a returning Millennium Falcon, Luke meditates on the guidance of Obi-Wan's ghost and fires his proton torpedoes, successfully hitting the exhaust port. The remaining ships quickly retreat as the space station explodes, in the first major victory for the rebellion against the Empire. Arriving back on Yavin, Luke, Han, and Chewbacca are honored for their service, and Luke is officially made a lieutenant within the ranks of the rebellion. Over the next 3 years, Luke would embark on a variety of missions, either independently or with his companions, many of which would take place in the Outer Rim, and even into the colonies between the core worlds and the Inner Rim, including planets such as Bogano, Rion, and Shu Toran. Luke would not only begin learning how to practically apply his own connection to the Force, but also how to work with his newfound friends. All this while working to find a new home for the rebellion and negotiating supply runs on behalf of the Alliance. On a mission to Rhodia with R2, Luke would travel alongside Rebel Nakari Kellen to arrange for a new weapon supply line for the Alliance. During the mission, they would be redirected to saving a hostage by the name of Drussel Belferin. This would lead them to other worlds such as Fex and Denon. During the string of events, Nakari's life would be lost, the first instance in which Luke starts to doubt his own strength and powers. Nevertheless, he continues to seek growth in both the Force and in his contributions to the Alliance. Luke would go on several more missions, testing his own morality as a Jedi, as well as being a hero of the rebellion. He would work with Wedge and Commander Arul Nara on several Alliance missions, including evacuating a group of leaders above Giju. He would then be sent alongside 3PO and R2 to the planet of Wilfora II to recover Imperial communication logs from Mon Mothma. After exiting hyperspace, Imperial attacks forced the trio to retreat to Deverin to repair their Y4. While there, Luke would train at a temple, following the guidance of Obi-Wan's voice. He would fight alongside and then duel Sarko Plank, who had attempted to use Luke to unlock potential treasures within the temple. Later, another moral test occurred while Luke was on Hardik. There he encounters a cross-guarded red saber, igniting within him a rage. It results in the death of a squadron of stormtroopers, as Luke is unable to stop himself in the moment. He would later destroy the saber with his own. A mission to Cymoon 1 would bring Leia, Solo, Chewbacca, R2, 3PO, and Luke together. The team hijacked the ship of an emissary from Jabba the Hutt, and Solo would pose as the emissary, with Luke and Leia as his bodyguards. The group successfully infiltrate the weapons facility, rigging it for destruction. However, Chewbacca alerts the group to the arrival of Darth Vader, and Luke, blinded by arrogance, fights Vader to avenge Kenobi and his father. Luke is quickly overpowered, and Vader rips the saber from Luke's grip. However, Vader would hesitate, realizing the saber was his own. In that moment, Solo crashes an AT-AT through the facility walls, allowing Luke to take back his saber and escape. The group then returns to the Alliance. Bearing the weight of Cymoon 1 heavily, Luke takes temporary leave from the Alliance, heading back to Tatooine with R2 to seek guidance within Kenobi's old hut. Finding a box addressed to him, Luke opens it only to be stunned by a flash grenade, which also disables R2. Unknown to Luke, Vader had hired bounty hunter Boba Fett to find him after their encounter. Vader knew that Kenobi had taken his old saber, and he deduced that Luke had been the pilot that had destroyed the Death Star. Locked in a scrappy duel with Fett, Luke is saved by R2, who throws a box, knocking out Fett. Luke and R2 flee the scene. Fett would return to Vader, reporting the young pilot's name, Skywalker. Left with more questions than answers, Luke and R2 head to Nar Shaddaa, in hopes of finding someone who can help them gain entry into the old Jedi temple on Coruscant, which is now in ruins from the Jedi Purge. Right after arriving on the surface, Luke finds himself in multiple scuffles with ruffians, which ultimately results in Luke falling into the hands of Gracchus the Hutt, who is aware of Skywalker's destination due to his lightsaber. Luke awakes in Gracchus's palace, where Gracchus reveals he has a great interest in Luke's abilities as a Jedi. He also reveals the presence of a Jedi temple on Vrogas Vas, after having Skywalker open a Jedi holocron, a relic Luke is unfamiliar with, but one that gives him valuable information pertaining to said temple. Gracchus, however, concludes that with Luke being the last Jedi, he would throw the boy into his gladiatorial arena so that all may witness his death. Meanwhile, R2, realizing that Luke is in trouble, sends a distress call out to the rebellion. As Luke is escorted to the arena, he encounters the game master named Creel. Creel uses a lightsaber of his own to warm Luke up before his debut in the arena. Using his expert swordsmanship, Creel puts a beating on the young Jedi. As the arena fills up, Skywalker's opponent is revealed to be a giant, thick-skinned creature from Mustafar, named Congo the Disemboweler. The creature throws Luke around the arena, beating him even worse than Creel had. As the monster goes in for the kill, Creel activates its shock collar. However, his deeds were not out of heroism. He reveals to Gracchus and the audience that he plans to deliver Luke into the hands of the Empire. Signaling stormtroopers to surround Skywalker and the Hutt, he deems they will both be placed under arrest. Gracchus fights back against Creel and his men. Luke escapes, retrieving Kenobi's journal and his lightsaber in the process. Quickly boarding the Millennium Falcon, the group flee Nar Shaddaa. Briefly returning to the Alliance, Luke recalls the Jedi temple Gracchus had mentioned on Vrogas Vas. Accompanied by his fellow Red, Blue, and Yellow squadrons, Luke is attacked by a lone TIE Advanced, piloted by Vader. Vader had been tipped off by the infamous Dr. Aphra and her assassin droids, 000 and BT-1. Sensing that Vader was behind the attack, Luke would immediately engage. In an unconventional move, the young pilot crashes his X-Wing into Vader's TIE Advanced, causing the two to crash on the surface of the planet below. Crashing near the temple, Luke witnesses rebel forces attempting to apprehend Vader. Luke makes his way to the battle, passing through the temple in the process. In secret, he is being tracked by 000, who had been painted gold to pose as 3PO. Assuming his friend had arrived to aid him, Luke allows the droid to approach. As 000 places his hand on Luke, it sends an electrical current rushing into his body, yet again, knocking Luke unconscious. As Aphra and the droids prepare to bring Luke to Vader, R2 arrives to fight back against the droids. BT, who is extremely well armed for an astromech, chases him off. Fortunately, Solo and Chewbacca arrive, dispatching 000 and detaining Aphra. As the group make their way back to the Falcon, they are ambushed by yet another bounty hunter, Black Chrysanthemum. As Chewbacca and Solo fight off Chrysanthemum, Luke retreats back to the temple in an attempt to find Leia, who had followed her soldiers attempting to capture Vader. Passing through the temple, he feels the presence of Kenobi, as well as his father, Anakin Skywalker. Before he could investigate any further, he's pinned down by arriving Imperial reinforcements and is knocked out by a blow to the head. Luke is taken prisoner by Commander Carbon, a rival to Vader, attempting to become Palpatine's new apprentice. In the spirit of this competition, Vader uses the Force to cause Luke's shuttle to crash, allowing him to go free. Escaping back to the Falcon, the group, along with a captured Aphra, flee the planet. During a relatively calmer time for the Alliance, Luke continues assisting with supply runs and base scouting on worlds such as Nar Shaddaa and Rayama. Later, Luke would accompany Han and Chewbacca to rescue Leia from the planet of Scori Lay. While on a mission we'll cover in a later video, she was injured and cared for by Pash Devane, who carried important intel to the Alliance. During this mission, 3PO had been captured, and R2 had taken an X-Wing to save his protocol droid friend. Luke follows a star map within Kenobi's journal to the Vagadar system. He reads that giants made of living stone reside there, and that they give those who come in close contact a power called Stone Power. This living stone was full of the living force, enhancing the abilities of those who came in contact with it. When he arrives at the unidentified world within the Vagadar system, he meets a native human known as Garo, who is the last of his kind. While initially Garo wants to kill Luke, using his energy to kill the last of the giant children, Luke eventually causes Garo to have a change of heart, and Garo uses his own life force to bring a dead giant back to life. Venturing alongside the children into the heart of the mountain, they complete the process Garo started in the revival. While one of the stranger experiences Skywalker would have, it's an important one in his own growth in the Force. Later on, the rebellion establishes a temporary base on Horrocks 3. While in a cantina, Luke comes under attack by some less than pleasant locals. He defends himself alongside Aphra and Chrysanthemum, who had found Luke by lying to Sana Starros, one of Luke's allies. Convincing Luke that she knew the location of a Jedi Master on Katathaton, she also reveals the Rur Crystal. Within this crystal is contained the disembodied AI known as Rur Eternal, created by an ancient Jedi splinter group called the Ordu Aspectu. After all this, she had convinced Luke to accompany them to the Screaming Citadel, so that Luke could further his own knowledge of the Jedi. Their group, with the exception of Chrysanthemum, are allowed entry, and Luke and Aphra are invited to dinner with the Queen. The Queen demands that Luke use the Force to move a dining tray. However, he is unable to until servants threaten the duo with their lives. It is revealed that the Queen had planned on inserting the Aberson symbiote into the pair, so that she could in turn consume their life force. Attempting to escape, Luke and Aphra are quickly apprehended. That is until Solo, Leia, and Sana Starros arrive via Aphra's ship, Archangel 2. After a dicey confrontation with the Queen, Luke refuses the temptation of heightening his abilities with the symbiote, and instead escapes with his friends, parting ways with Aphra's crew. Luke continues serving the rebellion as they search for a new base, while also building camaraderie with the Alliance and his friends. He often works closely with Solo and Organa, strengthening his bond greatly with the two. They travel to worlds such as Jeddah, where they aid Saw Gerrera's partisans in a long fight against the Empire, putting an end to their Kyber operations on the planet. On Lotho Minor, they investigate its potential as a new base, but running into trouble almost instantly, they remove it from their list of candidates. During a mission to Kit, Skywalker is promoted to commander and foils an Imperial ISB operation to create cybernetic sleeper agents that would be deployed across the galaxy. He remains on the planet for some time, executing operations with the Alliance. On Sergia in the Inner Rim, Skywalker helps rebels who had a heavy Imperial presence bearing down on them to escape the planet. Finally, in 3 ABY, the rebels settle on the ice-covered world of Hoth, and Luke is stationed at Echo Base. During his near-death run-in with a Wampa, Obi-Wan tells Luke to seek out Jedi Master Yoda on Dagobah. Shortly after Luke is rescued by Han Solo, the Empire would discover their location and launch an attack. Luke manages to single-handedly bring down an AT-AT with his lightsaber and a thermal detonator before evacuating in his X-Wing. Arriving on Dagobah, Luke begins his training with the old Jedi Master. The pair would operate out of Yoda's small hut, training each day in aspects of the Force, including mindfulness, telekinesis, agility, and more. Eventually, Luke would enter a cave, which known to Yoda was a powerful hub of the Force. There, Luke comes face to face with Darth Vader. As he strikes the Sith, the broken helmet would reveal Luke himself within, warning Luke of his own dark side potential. After receiving a vision of his friends in grave danger, Luke would pause the rest of his training, against the wishes of Kenobi and Yoda. He sets his course for Bespin, unaware that he was playing into Vader's trap. Lando Calrissian would soon rescue Luke's friends, while he has the chance to confront Vader. Meeting Vader within the carbonite freezing chamber, the two begin to duel. Luke is outmatched against the Sith Lord, barely hanging on before the shocking revelation that Vader is his father, Anakin Skywalker. Rather than join his father in an effort to rule the galaxy, Luke falls into the deep shaft below. While holding on to a weather vane outside, Luke reaches out to Leia with the Force, leading to his rescue. Now piloted by Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca, the Millennium Falcon makes its way to Rendezvous Point Delta 3 in the Mid-Rim. From there, Lando and Chewie leave to search for Han Solo, while Luke receives a new prosthetic hand. As Luke faces a time of uncertainty after his greatest defeat to date, and the shocking familial revelations, he would look both inward and outward in an effort to become the Jedi he was born to be. Next time, we'll conclude Luke Skywalker's life and travels, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching our first video on The Nerds Strike Back. If you want to support the channel so we can make more great videos, visit our Patreon page, where you can unlock exclusive perks. And let us know in the comments what characters and topics you'd like us to cover on The Nerds Strike Back.